Gonzalo Lorenzo, great to have you on. You and I have had several occasions to meet. I know you're the paddle guy down in Bristol, and thought it'd be great to have you on my show. So, in a few words, who the heck is Gonzalo?
Well, hello, Minter. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Gonzalo. Most people know me now as Padel Drive, and I think to keep it simple, we could say I'm a coach with a YouTube channel that loves paddle and is just trying to share that passion with all my audience.
How did you get into paddle? I mean, obviously you are Espanol, that helps. What was your
Mm.
route into paddle?
Well, I started playing around 15 years ago because paddle was becoming really popular in Spain. And my father was one of those people that started to get hooked into paddle. So he was playing every week with his colleagues. And one day I went to see him. After the game, I remember that his colleagues asked me to join for an extra set. I used to play tennis at that time. And as soon as I hit a few balls, I was like, "Oh my God, this is so much fun." So I play casual with my friends for so many years at a really bad level. And then it was just before COVID, during COVID, really. It was when I started to play much more and I learned almost everything that I know today. And it was when I started to get more immersed into paddle.
And so the learnings that you're talking about were in Spain because you live in Bristol now. You've been here for a few years, it seems.
Mm.
So tell us how you figured out how to learn because obviously you're a coach now. You educate everybody. What was the key to getting you to this level?
Well, I'm a really analytical person, and I feel I've always said like I think paddle and engineering at the end of the day they are really similar. Because I didn't say that in the intro, but I'm an aerospace engineer, and this year I've taken a sabbatical leave to go full time on paddle. But yeah, coming back to the topic, I think they are really similar fields in the sense of you have a given problem with given conditions and you have to find a solution for it. And then your work as an engineer or as a coach is to find that way from going to A to B with the resources and tools that you have. It might be the tools that you have as a player and the conditions that your opponents have and your partner has, or it can be the tools that you have as a coach with a given student to go from the level that he has currently to the level you think he can get to in the next few sessions. So that's more or less the way I approach paddle. So every time I jump on court, I try to think what's happening, why is it happening, and what is the in there that I can do a bit better to make it a bit more challenging for my opponents.
So this is the engineering piece
Yeah.
where often we use sports analogies to help in business. And I'm wondering to what extent your life in paddle on the other side has helped you as an engineer.
Um, yeah, that's a good question as well, and I think it goes both ways because the fact that I said that I feel they are pretty similar in that sense of finding the solution. Obviously, the coaching I think has a more human factor in the sense of as an engineer, the problem that you're facing is something physical, like can be a piece of a machine that you're working on or a software that you're dealing with to model what's happened physically. So I would say that as a coach, you always have to be able to understand the client or that or your student, right, as a human, like what's inside of his head, what are the fears that he has, why he's blocking himself. And that human part, I think it can be really useful in engineering as well, because at the end of the day, whenever you have to ask for data, whenever you have to ask for help, you're asking to a human. So all those human interactions, I think being a coach, it has definitely helped towards engineering, I would say.
Yeah, let's just, between us, engineers aren't known for being the social party animals in general anyway. But so let's just talk about your paddle for starters. You came from tennis, your dad said, "Come on along, Gonzalo, let's play a game." What sort of style of game do you have as a player?
Well, I think some people say that I'm not aggressive at all, which is kind of true, and it's one of the things that I'm trying to improve this year. For the way I see paddle is, if you are able to bring one more ball back than your opponent, you're gonna win the point. And and in order to do so, I always tell my students, what's the easiest shot that you can play, which is safe and you have margin to play, but is still challenging to your opponent. Like that's the way I see paddle. You have to think how to play safe, how you can make it challenging for your opponent, but always play percentage. Like at least 80% of the balls that you hit, they need to go in. So
Well,
that's
yeah,
the way I teach and the way I play.
right. So I know you have a rule number one of paddle:
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's it.
hit more balls in than hitting balls out.
Yeah, it's like it sounds like a meme, right? Like you're telling me something obvious, but I can guarantee you that nobody does it. Like I sometimes when I'm waiting to jump on court, and I see the guys of the club playing or whoever is there playing, and I see the way they try to beat the opponent. It's like, don't you notice that for every winner that you try to hit, you are hitting seven balls out and three winners. Yeah, like the three winners, they are amazing and they give you that boost, but you are losing 7 points along that way. So clearly the stats, they're telling you you're doing something wrong, but you just don't see it.
There's the stats in the pro level where it's something around 70% of their shots are just basically easy shots, shots that you and I can do, which corresponds to size. I mean, it's true. You look at them, they're shots, they're driving, and they're not flying that, so close to the net because that's too dangerous. It's got to be. I mean, I'm not trying to compare ourselves, Gonzalo, to the pros, but in general, 70% of their shots are risk averse shots. It's in the 30% that where you have to choose your time to go in and snack it, crack it.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I think pro level is a completely different story. Those guys, they really know that it's important to play with tight margins because otherwise it's too easy for your opponent to destroy you. And even though it seems easy, I can guarantee you that it's extremely hard to return those balls. Like if they will, like imagine we jump on court with Coelho, and Coelho says, "I'm gonna serve 10 times. Your only goal is to bring the ball back. To bring it back, yeah, that's the only
Yeah,
goal. I can guarantee you it's so difficult. Like just to
yeah,
bring the ball back. And it doesn't
yeah,
matter if you play this tight to the net or this tight. It's
yeah.
difficult.
Yeah, and they make it look so easy because how often do they even ever screw up a serve return? Very fair
Yeah.
point, of course. So, your style of play is like you say with your coaching, you're working on trying to get a little bit more killer shots. But what is your
Mm.
favorite shot?
Well, the one that I like the most, I would say, is the bandeja. Yeah,
Why?
I don't know. I think I got obsessed back at that time with that shot because I remember there was one particular game that I was facing a opponent that was much stronger than me, according to Playtomic, but also Playtomic was very much right. And then we finished the game, and I asked him like, why was it so easy for you to beat us, right? Like, what was I doing wrong? How can I improve? And he said, when I was at the back, and every time I was playing a lob to you, your bandeja was generating too much rebounds. So even though I was at the back, I was still attacking. And I was thinking, okay, so how can I make that shot to bounce low? And all of a sudden, I started to become a bit obsessed with hitting the bandeja with the right length and with the right spin so that it gets low. And it's what I try to teach my students, that they don't need to play fast. It's a shot that everybody loves and everybody wants to play as such a fancy shot. But if you are able to keep it low and you hit long, you're gonna be safe.
Yeah, there's something about the engineering and what you're talking about, where basically you have this space you're trying to get into. So aerospace, you're basically trying to get this ball at a certain length, at a certain speed, at a certain velocity, and then to bounce into this space. It sounds like I could be talking about aerospace.
Yeah, it's what I told you. Like it sounds like I'm a nerd, but it's true. I see it the same way. It's like I have a given problem, which is I'm playing against these two guys. The guy on the left, let's say, he has amazing volleys. The guy on the right is super consistent. I play, you have to know yourself. What are the things that you can do, the things that you can't? And my partner plays like this. What can we do as a team to make it challenging for them and to try to use what we have to win this match? And sometimes you'll be able to find the solution. Sometimes you will find the solution, but still you will lose. But you will learn something along that match. I can guarantee you.
You were just talking about team, and one of the areas I love to explore is how to find the best team. What is it that makes for the best partner? So for you, Gonzalo, how do you go about choosing a partner? What do you look for in your partner?
Well, to be honest, the number one rule here is that you guys have fun playing together and that you want to spend time together really. Like if I see the pros, for example, and I see the pairs that they do really well, they don't see each other just as colleagues. They see each other as a friend. They want to spend time together and they like to play together really. And I think that's really important. I feel like one of the biggest mistakes in padel is thinking that you are better than your partner, because at the end of the day, it's a really fair sport. If you were much better than your partner, there would be people calling you to play with them that they are much higher level. If you're playing with a given partner, it's because you are really likely at the same level. So thinking that you are better than him or than her can be temporary, but if you've been playing with the same people for 1 year, there is a reason behind that.
Yeah, there's one of the peculiarities is the lack of awareness about oneself. You'll focus on your partner screwing it up. Oh, that he should
Yeah.
have done this and this, and you sort of try to whitewash the errors that you made. And like the number of times you sort of can roll your eyes, like someone who double faults. Wow, that seems impossible. But by the way, it happens. At least at our level, or at least my level anyway. What about when you're coaching, Gonzalo?
Mm.
What do you find is the hardest thing for people to get when it comes to paddle?
Well, that's a really good question. I feel the one that I see the most and the one that I at the same time that I like the most is people that they are becoming obsessed with the sport and they want to try to go faster than they can. So I have a few of those, and in one way, it's super satisfying because you can see that those players they are putting 100% of their effort into getting better. So as a coach, that's really satisfying because it's the type of people that you want to work with, and at the same time, it's your job to tell them things they go at a certain speed. Like, of course, everybody wants to play much better every day, but the reality is that you're gonna reach a point where you have to focus on really small improvements. They do take time, and it is really easy to find frustration when you see yourself not going as fast as you would like. But That's why the role of the coach is so important, in my opinion, because sometimes we think we are not making any progress, but we are. And the fact that every day or every week we are putting ourselves into a challenging situation for us, even if we don't find the solution for it, and at the end of the session we couldn't do the exercise as we were expected, just the fact of being able to give it a try and to challenge yourself, I can guarantee you that it's driving an improvement.
I'm just as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking of certain profiles of players, and one that I frequently see is just wants to play, doesn't really want to practice or
Yeah.
actually learn. In his mind, he's thinking, "I'm learning by playing," but I find that's a slow route to improvement. And then
Mm.
I'm also thinking of the a few players, and I'm sure you have in mind, who just love to make magic shots, pretend like they're Tapia, and they
Yeah.
they and they'll do the tweener, they'll do the behind the back, they'll do la tontona, they'll do the dormillona, so all these fancy shots. And if you don't do them ever, you're not going to be able to invent them when you need them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're just relying on magic, it seems you might lose out on the basics. How do you deal with that?
I tell them, like, as I said, the way I see paddle is it doesn't matter what shot you play, the ball has to go in at least 80% of the time. So let's say I have one guy in mind, Os, if you're watching this, he's one of my students that he's extremely talented. He has good hands. He comes from tennis and he plays shots that technically they are really difficult. But what we've been working lately is the decision making. It's like, okay, you have the skill to play that shot, but it doesn't make any sense if out of 10 times that we play it, only two go in because it looks amazing on the video for the film or whatever and to show your friends. But if you want to be competitive and you want to win, the numbers they need to tell you that you're right. So we are working a lot on, okay, you want to do this shot. When is the right time to do it? Okay. And at the same time, not becoming too predictable because the first drop shot of the game, probably I catch you off guard. The second drop shot, the other guy is there to put the ball in my chest. So all these things, if you are good, you have good hands and you enjoy. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to enjoy paddle, and if this makes you happy,
Yeah.
of course. But if you want to be competitive, there is a really hard work to do on choosing when is the right moment to go for them, and also understanding what's the purpose of each of the shots that you're playing.
Mm. I also coach, and so I'm wondering how you live through this, Gonzalo, because you're a player and a coach, and you can be doing coaching, but when you play with somebody, let's say in a tournament, how do you deal with the coach hat that you're wearing? Or
Yeah.
do you put it aside? What parts of you do you bring when you're coming to play with a player? Let's say you're
Mhm.
being competitive and you want to win. What type of advice do you have in the communication that you have with your partner when you're in the heat of the moment?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's been one of my biggest problems that, for example, the last 2 years I've spent a lot of time on court coaching, but not playing. So I always have that analysis mode in my head, and too often I'm analyzing myself, or even worse, analyzing my partner,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something really hard to deal with, and that I've been doing a lot of research and making a really big effort to try to address. It's good that you analyze your opponents so that you can understand what's your game plan going to be. But for yourself and for your partner, you have to keep things easy. Like, for example, whenever you are playing with someone, there is no room for coaching. Like, you cannot tell him, listen, you are doing the forehand volley and you're touching the ball really in front. That if he doesn't know how to do it before the game, he's not going to learn it during the game. So technical advice completely out of the table. Strategies, yes, they can work. Keep it simple. Let's say hey, I see that the guy on the right, he's struggling when we serve to the backhand. Why don't we go there? 100%. That's more than welcome. But as I said, try to keep it simple because I also see so many players developing a extremely complex strategy that they're not going to follow. So
Hmm.
focus on one, two things, try to make it simple, and you'll see that it works. And in amateur games, to be honest, it's always the case. Like nobody is a complete, like nobody has a complete game style. You will barely see someone that is completely balanced in all the shots, that they can play the forehand, the backhand, the bandeja, the smash, the volleys, everything with the same quality. You will always find people with a strong forehand, with a really weak backhand, they don't know how to lob, they are moving too slow. So there is always something that you can target. Keep it simple. You'll find a way of doing that.
Oh, well, maybe this is a preamble, but let's start by talking the culture of paddle. Is there such a thing as the culture? Since you work in a large company, you know what business culture is about. What about the culture of paddle? Do you think there is such a universal culture? And then how is it being interpreted in the UK where you live?
I mean, for me, the culture of paddle is just organizing a game with your friends, have fun, also try to be a bit competitive. And after you finish, you shake hands, you go to the bar, you get a beer.
Una caña,
And that's what I like. If you say paddle culture, that's what it comes to my mind. And that's the way we've
100%.
seen paddle in Spain for so many years, which I think for the majority of the people, it should be like that because it's a really easy way to forget about all your problems, to do some cardio, to try to get yourself into a healthy lifestyle, and at the same time spend time with friends, quality time, doing a bit of sport. I think it's a magic combination, and I truly think is the reason why paddle is becoming so popular.
All right. Now then just we'll circle back on this communication piece because it's been my observation that, well, certainly let's start with the pro level.
Yeah,
The amount of communication that's going on is huge. And every time I interview any of the big pros, Yanguas, Laguno, Ortega,
mhm,
they talk about how important communication is as part of the game. Let's say we're moving away from just having fun to being
yeah,
more performance
yeah.
interested. How do you assess, or when you get a new partner on the court, and maybe you can even talk about how you coach communication.
Mhm.
But when you have a new partner, let's say I'm your partner, oh, mentor, what are we going to do in terms of communication? How do you organize the what the amount and style of communication?
Yeah, so well, there are, I would say, two types of communication. The one that is on court while you guys are playing. So, for example, I always teach these things to my students. Like they play a lob on your partner, you don't look at your partner, you look at your opponents, and you have to be calling your partner where they are. Okay, so that would be one, and that's something that doesn't come out in a natural way. You have to train it, otherwise you won't be able to do it in a game. So train how to communicate these things in an effective way is not easy. That's one, and then the second one is what we said, like the point we are not playing, and we are talking about a strategy that we want to follow. As I said, keep things simple for me is extremely important because if you start uh, going too complex, it's not gonna work. And then try to be a bit, you say empathetic,
Empathetic, yes.
you say empathetic. Uh, Try to think what would be the way that you would like someone to give you feedback or tell you something and do it in that way. For example, we always say, don't say you need to do this to your partner. It's we as a team. I think it could work if we play the lob on the guy on the right, but not, hey, listen, you need to play the lob on the, because he's a bit too much direct. So these things, obviously, the pro players, they know how, well, Sometimes, right? Because in the events in Premier Padel, we see a bit of everything. But um, they normally know how to say it. And also the fact that they have a coach in the events that it can help and it can guide and is the figure that you need to trust. Also offloads yourself from a lot of stress. But in amateur games, we don't have that. So as I said, keep things simple and be empathetic with your partner.
Love it. Something that, I mean, also happens at the pro level, but more often than not happens at an amateur level, I would say, is the fridge concept,
Yeah.
getting fridged. So when you know, let's say your students come back and complain, oh, this weekend I got totally fridged. What
Yeah.
advice do you provide to the fridged, or actually the person who's being targeted for that matter?
Yeah, in amateur games is extremely common and it's always going to be there. It's also true, similar to what we said before, that so many people have that idea in their head that they got freeds, but the reality is that that didn't happen. You played like 55-45 or 60-40, but it was not a clear strategy to target your partner. Because as I said before, if you are much better than your partner, the reality is that you're gonna move away from your partner, or you're gonna start playing with a new partner. So first, understanding that many people see a fridge when there is no fridge, but also in on the other way, let's say if you are getting fridge, there is certainly things that you can do to play a proper game and to try to move away from that fridge. And if you're clever and you are a good player, you will find a way of hitting more balls.
Indeed. I mean, I talk about specifically if you are the one being fridge, or sorry, you're the one who's being attacked, you know,
Yeah.
because it happens to me that I'll be attacked when I'm playing with younger players because they, you know, they know that I'm slower.
Yeah.
So what I will do, I will play more down the line with the
Mm.
effort to hopefully tease out the more diagonal shots. But of course, you need to have enough on it in order for
Yeah.
it to be more likely to go diagonal, because if you just powder the ball back, it's going to be easy to go back to you again. So you have to somehow move that. And then, of course, talk about it with your partner. You know,
Yeah, no, 100%.
I realize I'm being fridged, or I realize you're being attacked. You know, and you have to make it a we, as you say. I think that was a really good insight.
Yeah, no, definitely. And as I say, there is always something that you can do to make it a bit more challenging to your opponent. It doesn't mean that you're gonna win, but definitely if things are not working well, you should try to change the approach that you are following on that day and definitely try to find a solution. Like for example, let's say I'm injured or I'm playing with someone that is much slower than me. If that person hits the ball in an easy way for them, they will always be able to control the ball and place it where they want, right? So imagine that's the problem that we are facing. We cannot say, okay, you wanna run faster because it's not a reality and it's not gonna happen, right?
Mm.
But instead we can say, okay, you're gonna play more down the line, and I'm gonna go towards the center of the court, and I'm gonna try to leave a space on my left and help you a lot with this area of the court. Or you can say, listen, we're gonna take a bit more risk on your shots. If you miss, it's okay. It's a risk that we're taking, but I want you to be more aggressive so that it's much harder for them to control where they play. For example, these two things.
Mm.
Okay. Again, it might be the case that we start doing this and we still get destroyed. It's part of paddle. It's
Of
it's
course.
it's part of paddle. So
Uh,
that's what you have to. That's the way I would approach every single game. And again, if every single game that you play, you think you are being freed, there is something wrong there for sure.
100%. 100%. In terms of the new technologies that are showing up,
Yeah.
I'm sure you're aware. What are the things that excite you in terms of how new tech is coming in to change the world of paddle?
Well, for me, I'm extremely curious about AI and stats generation, right? Because as a coach, for example, if I was coaching pro players, is definitely a tool that I would like to have. Like after a game, uh, give me the stats. Like I don't want to be counting forehand out, backhand volley, blah, blah, blah. I just want to have the table that I can put in Excel and that I can analyze by myself and try to see what are the trends that we need to follow as a pair and what are the trends that we need to follow against a given team. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to evolve. And I'm pretty sure it's quite close because when I was in the Padel Summit, I already saw that there are some companies doing some work in image recognition and understanding what's happening on court. And once that's done, the generation of the stats is pretty straightforward. So I think that's something that is gonna come quite close to Pro Padel.
I'm very curious to see how it progresses as well. I was there, of course, with you,
Yeah,
and a lot of companies saying they have AI, but paddle is a complex game. I suppose many sports really are complex at some level, but there are so many different angles and different types of shots that you can make. It feels very complex compared to tennis, for example, where
yeah.
you have it's amazing sport. It's just that the variety of shots that you have in paddle, thanks and because of the walls and the netting on the side, makes it more complicated. So we'll see. But one of the big areas that I've been interested to look at is the ability for AI to detect unforced errors versus forced errors. It seems to be that that's a quantum leap of difficulty to figure out. I mean, how do you assess those?
Now, even for humans, right? Like where is the limit?
Yeah, because an unforced error for Galan is 98% of the time a forced error for me.
That's it. No, no, it's is exactly what you said. Like, what do you consider as an unforced error?
Yeah. And like you say, or my cousin always says, it's more about being unhappy with the unforced errors than being happy with the winners that you make.
Yeah,
You agree
you
with that
know,
one?
no, 100% is. I always say this, like, in some of my coaching sessions, one of the exercises that we do is we play a little game where everybody's keeping a personal score. Instead of using the normal score, we use a personal score. Every time you hit a winner, you get a +1. And every time you make an unforced error, you get a -1. And I always tell them, if you manage to get zero score at the end of the game, you've done pretty well. Because what I see, I see every day is that the average is -3. So if you are able to keep your score to zero, you're gonna win because the other guy is gonna give you the mistakes that you need to win.
So you keep the same score, 15 love, 30 love, but you're also counting the personal.
Yeah, that's something that I mean, that's an exercise that I do, but also we are going to be rotating. I'm also going to be jumping in, and I don't care at all about the 30 15, 40 15, whatever. I just want them to be aware of themselves because nobody take these stats, right? At the end of the game we remember the 6-2 or the 6-3, but nobody knows, oh, I attempted 12 winners, uh, 9 went out, the rest went in.
For sure.
Nobody, right? So for just for a couple of minutes, let's say 5-10 minutes, you're gonna be just focused on yourself. Like, what's your personal score? And the average is -3. So he's telling everybody that they're making is so easy. It's so easy to make sorry, to hit a winner. No, as I'm saying it the other way around. It's so easy to make an unforced error, and it's so hard to hit a winner.
Yeah.
So it is much more efficient to try to reduce the unforced errors than try to play more winners.
Amen. All right, let's talk about paddle drive, Gonzalo, to end with.
Yeah.
So it's a very popular YouTube channel. Talk us how you got into this and why has it become such a successful channel in your mind?
Well, we didn't know how it was gonna be. The only thing that I knew was that I love coaching. I love paddle, and I wanted to share with everybody the way I see paddle and the way I coach. So if there is someone that can benefit from everything that I've learned these years to help like to play a bit better, definitely there was a room for a YouTube channel. This started really when I moved to Bristol and I met Thomas, my videographer, and he mentioned like, "Hey, would you be up to do this?" I didn't have the knowledge at that time to film or to edit. Uh, that's what he does. So it was like a perfect combo. We started filming. The YouTube started going much better than we thought, and here we are today with 40,000 subscribers and still a really healthy growth. So I have the feeling that it's gonna be much more at the end of the year, and is one of the things that makes me happier at the moment in my life because we receive such a positive feedback and there are so many comments from people that they feel the videos are helpful, and this is just amazing. I always compare it to engineering. Like imagine I come into the office and everybody is like, "Oh, Gonzalo, amazing what you did yesterday. That tool, that model validation, or whatever you did was amazing." So this is what we're getting in YouTube, right? Like you read the comments and everybody, "Oh, amazing video. It helped me a lot. I'm super thankful." So I don't know if it feels great when you see that you're helping people and hopefully we can keep growing, keep bringing paddle to new areas of the world where it's still an immature market, and hopefully we can keep helping people drive their best paddle.
Well, it certainly must be very gratifying. I could totally relate to that. You presumably have a lot of stats as well. So I'm just
Mm.
wondering, not you're based in Bristol, the fact that you speak English,
Yeah.
because there's a dearth of good quality videos on paddle,
Mhm.
where the majority of your viewers coming from?
Well, it changes really fast, and it's one of the things that surprised me the most. Like, for example, at the moment, one of the most trending audiences is the one from Indonesia. All of a sudden, like it used to be UK, one of the biggest. We also have a big audience in Denmark, in the Netherlands is quite big as well. And funny enough, in Spain. But yeah, the big surprise now has been like all of a sudden from I think it was like 3 4 months ago, Indonesia started to appear in the stats and is one of the biggest audiences right now. I was like all of a sudden.
I suspect I'm thinking there must have been some sort of acolyte student who went to Bali and said, "Hey, have you seen Paddle Drive? You should go check it out."
I don't know how, but yeah, I was like, well, Indonesia here in the stats and it started to grow and is one of the biggest audiences right now. Because obviously, I knew, for example, that in Netherlands, paddle is huge, or in Denmark, like people love it. I was thinking, yeah, maybe UK because I'm based here and people talk about this and they see me in the club and they come, they say, "Oh, you are the guy with the YouTube channel," or they ask a few questions. But yeah, the Indonesia or even Spain makes me super happy that with all the videos available that you have in Spanish,
Yeah,
you
for sure.
still come and watch my videos in English. That means a lot, and I'm super happy about that one as well.
Well, it's a beautiful thing. So I don't mean to be prying into space I'm not allowed to go to, but at what point does this become your uh, main source of revenue? I mean, how big does it need to
Mhm.
be? I have no idea what it means to have 40,000
Oh no, it's
subscribers.
I think the revenue from YouTube is not worth it in at least with the size that we have right now. Like I can guarantee you that the amount of effort and hours that we put in, it wouldn't make any sense compared to the amount of money that we are receiving from YouTube every month. We do it because we like what we do. It's an extra income, of course, but you cannot live from YouTube. Like no, you are nowhere near to live with the stats that we have right now. So I think you have to do something on top. I don't know. I would like to know also how different creators approach this topic, and I assume that I honestly think no one in Padel can live just with the income from YouTube. Like not even the big ones.
Yeah, and
That's my guess.
yeah, and at the end of the day, though, Gonzalo, is that you're building a platform,
Yeah,
and you can't make it out of thin air. So you've got a solid base, and who's to know how the future of paddle will go? And you know, if paddle grows, so shall you.
mm,
And if you become the dominant English language
yeah,
video source, then it for sure augurs well. But anyway, I really appreciate you coming on and talking about this, Gonzalo. We
yeah.
have to have a time to play together, so we can actually put it all into practice.
No,
So
100%.
give us where people can go and find you. Where would you like to go? Have people track you down? We talked about the YouTube channel, of course. Anywhere else?
Yeah, so if you are curious about the videos that we make, for sure check out our YouTube channel. And then the other two things that I want to mention is well, right now, if you want to coach or be coached by me, but you don't live in Bristol, well, there is a chance because we are organizing a paddle trip to Alicante. And I think it's a really nice experience that if you know me or you want to be next to me for a couple of days and learning the way I see paddle, probably is a good time to do it. So
And when are you doing that?
we're doing this the 30th of September. So it's a 4 day trip. And yeah, maybe I can send you the link or with all the info. But if anyone has some questions, they can also reach out to me in Instagram or wherever, and then I'll be happy to answer the questions. And then the last one that I'm extremely passionate about is paddle rackets. Like at the moment, I work with a brand called Hook Paddle, because I really trust the quality of the rackets, and I have a really good relationship with the people from the brand, and I know what's behind every racket and who's the people behind those rackets. And yeah, I'm really happy working with them. So yeah, if you want to check the rackets, you have probably seen the store that we have in the YouTube channel is padeldrivers.com.
And
And
is
yeah,
Hook a paddle only brand?
yeah, Hook Paddle
Yeah.
is paddle rackets only
And where are they based?
in Madrid.
Madrid. Beautiful. Well, and what about the Instagram account you want people to go to?
Oh yeah, Paddle Drive.
Paddle Drive. All right, there we go. Well, I'll just say it out loud. These will put these in the show notes. Of course. Gonzalo, muchas gracias. Vamos, Padel. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Minter. It has been a pleasure to be here with you, and yeah, we look forward to that game.
Indeed.